Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was created in the non-monogamy subreddit by a user named I Can't Touch the Ground. The post is titled, "Fiance announces she is bisexual after a solo trip to a wedding. Betty, 27F, and I, 30M, got engaged in January after dating for a couple of years. Our plan was to get married next year when we had saved enough money for the wedding. Shortly after getting engaged, we moved in together at the end of January. In May, Betty was a bridesmaid for one of her friends. I was unable to attend due to my job and the fact that it was a 5-day trip. Betty had a great time reconnecting with some of her old friends, but a couple of weeks after she got back, she became moody and withdrawn. I was relieved when she made an appointment with a therapist since she hadn't opened up to me about what was troubling her. After about 5 or 6 sessions, she sat me down one Saturday morning so we could talk. Betty had been raised in a very conservative household and had to suppress her desires until she moved out to go to college. Even then, certain ideas she denied and refused to embrace. At the wedding, she was introduced to the wife of one of her girlfriends from college, and it triggered a lot of repressed desires over the days they all hung out before the wedding. She told me she felt romantic and attraction to women as well as men and realized that she was bisexual. I told her I was happy she finally felt safe sharing this with me, and it didn't change how I felt about her. It was a very emotional moment. She asked me how I felt about her exploring her sexuality now that it was out in the open. I said I was open to exploring it with her and possibly having a threesome with another woman to let her have that experience. She wanted a one-on-one experience with another woman and felt she couldn't do that with me present. I told her that sounded more like an affair and something I wasn't comfortable with. I asked her if she wanted to cancel the wedding and maybe separate while she figured out what she wanted to do. She was adamant that was not what she wanted, and she was still very much in love with me and still wanted to get married, but she felt like she had to explore these feelings she was embracing before we settled down together. I asked her if she had done anything inappropriate at the wedding and cheated on me. I asked if she had someone in mind or had been talking to someone since she came back. She admitted to dancing with a girl at the reception and they kissed at the end of the night, but nothing else happened. She denied talking to anyone or pre-planning anything. She knew this was a lot to throw on my plate all at once, and she didn't expect an answer right away. She just asked that I keep an open mind and keep talking about it. I couldn't promise anything, but I agreed to do some research and talk to a workmate who has an open marriage to see how they cope. I warned her that if I found out she lied or was doing anything behind my back, there would be no second chances and I would leave. My workmate has been super helpful and open about their relationship. My brother got me into a support group that has helped me come to terms with our relationship changes. I'm burning my way through my second book and sat Betty down Thursday night to check in and talk about moving forward. I found us a couples therapist, gave her the book I had finished, and told her we should postpone the wedding for 6 months and then decide if that's the path we are still on. I was on a roll when she stopped me and asked me if I was planning on dating other people, like it never occurred to her that I would be dating as well. She kind of shut down after that, barely giving one-word answers when I would ask her something. I think the longest sentence I got was, "I just don't know." She has been like that for 24 hours now, like she is lost in a fog. I'm just bracing myself for the inevitable flood of emotions. I would have thought she would be happy that I was considering opening our relationship. Add on, my brother came out as gay when I was 16 and my parents were very supportive, so I grew up in a very different household than my girlfriend. Apology. The second half of my post was written much later than the first half, and after a few drinks. Rereading it made it clear I should have waited until this morning before posting it. Sorry. Update, Saturday night, her fog lifted and things got pretty heated. She said that the open relationship was my way of punishing her and being vindictive by dating other women. She was just asking for some grace to explore her feelings. I replied that she showed almost no remorse for cheating on me and instead expected an open-ended hall pass to do so again. I told her our friends had told me she asked them not to say anything about what happened at the wedding, so I would probably never know the full truth and I just had to accept it was worse than she admitted to. I asked if she thought it was fair to go have sex with other people while I waited by the door like some lovesick puppy who was expected just to wag his tail when she decided to come home and show me some attention. It devolved after that, and some hurtful things were said by us both. I finally gave her 3 options if she wanted to move forward. Monogamy, postpone the wedding and go to couples counseling. No experimenting. When we get to a good place, then go ahead with the wedding with a prenup to protect me if she changes her mind and or cheats again. Open relationship. We can both date who we want and she can figure out her sexuality on her own terms. In a year or so, we can see if marriage still seems like a good option if we are still together. Full separation. She moves out and we can each be free to live our lives as we see fit. If or when she decides she wants monogamy with me, if I haven't moved on, then we can try option 1. But it would be a new beginning, not just picking up where we left off. She decided she needed some space to think things out and was going to stay with friends for a couple of days. I told her before she left that if she accidentally cheated while she was gone, to not come back except to pick up the rest of her things. This morning I got a text from her, "I'm so sorry." She didn't answer when I asked her what she meant, and my call went to voicemail. I'm not going to reach out to her again, and I will wait to let her contact me when she is ready. Overall, I think OP handled this pretty well. I don't like making exceptions, so I'm going to just say it. His partner cheated on him, which is betrayal, and he should separate. Sure, I'm sorry that this woman couldn't explore her sexuality in her past years, but surely you should have known better than to pursue a marriage with someone if you had suppressed feelings. I'm sure someone is going to use the trauma excuse and say that she had a circle that didn't support her, but that's all that is. An excuse. Another thing that I really didn't like is that it seemed like OP's fiance wanted to go out and date women without any repercussions in the relationship. She expects OP to be right there waiting for her while she goes out to have fun. I don't support that at all. If the couple wanted to do that together with another woman, then I think that's a bit more reasonable if all sides are consenting. I just feel like this has the potential to blow up in OP's face at some point if mishandled. And of course, seeking some additional guidance would be helpful as well. User Omni Owl said, "This sounds like a classic case of I didn't think this through on her part. You responded in a very mature way. You did research and tried to understand the hows, whens, and whys. What she likely wanted was just a experience with a woman, a one-night stand. However, she seems to have failed to consider how that might emotionally destabilize the relationship and give her the chance to be true to herself without you being able to do the same, should you wish to. It often happens that people new to this kind of situation want rules for others but not for themselves to protect themselves and the relationship. But that's just not how it works. What if she catches feelings for her fling? What if she wants to have sex multiple times with women and you don't get to explore or follow your desires in the meantime? It's unbalanced and selfish. I think you are doing the right thing and you just need to be steadfast here. I feel that no matter what, the wedding needs to be postponed indefinitely until you figure this out. If she pulls back now, she'll likely grow resentful or depressed and you'll have to deal with that later. Don't get married based on that foundation." User GLBDS said, "Looks like your partner has been a bit self-centered about this. It's a good idea to take your time regarding your engagement. The death of exclusivity, even as a hypothetical, can be a pretty destabilizing thing for an established mono relationship. Keep talking. You seem to be handling this very well, somewhat better than her, I think." Under this comment, OP said, "I tried to handle this respectfully, but it seemed fair to her. It is an open pass for her, but not for me. I'm expected to support her while she has sex and possibly develops feelings for someone else and just smile and nod." And then she got upset when I had to remind her she was the one that cheated. I just finished printing out cards to send to everyone. We sent the save the date notices to advising them we are canceling the wedding. Not sure how I'm going to respond when they start asking why. The cards I'm sending out just have due to new circumstances on them. User Doomed Redshirt said, "You have the right not to have non-monogamy forced on you. You have established terms under which you are comfortable with her being with women. She can decide if those terms work for her or not. If they do, then maybe great. I say maybe because there is still a lot of stuff to work through for everything to function well if you are doing threesomes. If they don't, then either you end the relationship or one of you has to be unhappy. Either you for letting her have solo relationships or her for never being with another woman sexually. Please note that being bisexual does not automatically mean I must have sexual partners of both genders. Plenty of bi people stay monogamous because that's the nature of the relationship they are in. User Polly and RA said, in this sub, we often encounter people in monogamous relationships whose partner comes out as polyamorous and occasionally acts entitled, suggesting that their partner is obligated to change their relationship rules to accommodate polyamory. That's nonsense. A monogamous partner is under no obligation whatsoever to accept changed relationship rules because their partner is polyamorous. The same principle applies here. Your partner came out as bi, not as poly, but the result is similar in that what she actually wants to do is change the rules of your relationship so she can have relationships with women. To add insult to injury, she apparently imagines that you'd be having a one-sided open relationship where her identity as bi gives her a freedom, the freedom to have sex with others, that she's not imagining you'd also have. That's not reasonable either. Even if you were a person who is ambiamorous and perfectly comfortable with an open relationship of some sort, there'd still be no valid justification for having asymmetrical rules. I recommend that if your preference is monogamy, you tell your partner that. Yes, that might mean you're incompatible. If she's unwilling to accept monogamy and you're unwilling to accept non-monogamy, then your wishes are mutually exclusive and you're probably better off breaking up. If you do think an open relationship sounds like something you could enjoy, then by all means, go for it. But in that case, your relationship rules, whatever they are, should be the same for both of you and should also be gender neutral. User Prophetic Kesha said, from personal experience, it's a bad idea to try to open up a marriage to explore your bisexuality, because wanting to have sex with other women is different from wanting to and having the ability to practice healthy ethical non-monogamy. If you did actually go through with it, it would be even more unhealthy for you to require that she only have sex with women with you or while you sit in the room and observe. First of all, almost no women you try to find would be interested in that situation unless you hired a sex worker. Second, it doesn't actually help her figure out what she needs to understand about herself, which is who she is outside the context and gaze of male sexuality. But that's the third thing. Doing this is how I found out I'm a lesbian, not bi, haha. So you're balanced on the edge of a knife right now and you just have to try to move as wisely and ethically as you can, but take the advice you get seriously. Your relationship as you know it could be over either way, but you can choose how much you hurt each other and yourselves in the process. User What's the Answer Dude said, ho, maybe I'm missing something, so let's confirm the timeline here. Your partner was kind of iffy/despondent for a bit after a friend's wedding, then went to 5 or 6 therapy sessions and only then tells you she's interested in girls. And only then does she mention she made out with someone at the wedding. Maybe I'm missing something here, but whether she was honest or not, she cheated on you, dude. I don't care if there's no activity involved. I'd be livid if I was told by the person I'm about to marry that they made out with someone not long before our future wedding. And no, just because it was a girl she made out with doesn't mean it doesn't count as cheating. I'd be highly hesitant to believe that giving her free rein just once won't mean she'll find a way to accidentally create more problems or break more rules. The fact that it took her that long and after that many things already to tell you what actually possibly happened at the wedding is a huge red flag. Personally, I think you need to separate and consider if this is the right long-term thing for both of you or not. If that happened, I wouldn't expect her to, and honestly, I'd likely walk away from this. The only time I'd ever still have some level of respect for someone who cheated like this is if they told me ASAP afterward, or like the next day, or within days. She didn't, and she hid it for a long time, neither of which is good or something you want from a long-term partner. She seems to be leaving out the E part of ENM quite a bit and seems selfish. About a week later, OP gave us an update. On Wednesday, Betty went to her previously scheduled appointment with her therapist and told her what happened between us. I'm not sure what all was said, but she called me on the way to her friend's house, apologizing for some of the things she said and wanting to come home and talk things out. I told her to stay at her friend's house that night and think about what she wanted, and she could come home Thursday so we could sit down and work things out. On Thursday, we met at the house and talked over dinner. We both apologized for getting heated and saying some unfair things to each other. After talking to her therapist and having several conversations with her best friend over the last few days, she decided not to explore her bisexual urges. The idea of a truly open relationship where I was free to sleep with other people terrified her, and getting married was more important than chasing the rainbow. Her original idea had been just a free pass to see if she was missing something in her life and how important it was to her. I asked if she was asking for a one-night stand, just dating a woman, or having a full relationship. She couldn't tell me exactly what she wanted. I said that didn't sound very monogamous or fair to me. She agreed, and that was why she was giving up on exploring those feelings. Next, she brought up the notes I sent out canceling our save the date notices for our wedding day. She said she was getting all kinds of calls about what happened and was caught unaware about what they were even talking about at first. She was upset I did that without talking to her first. I reminded her that she lobbed 2 grenades in my lap, coming out as bisexual, and the fact that she cheated on me, then left and wouldn't talk with me except for a cryptic "I'm so sorry" text followed by silence. While I never said anything other than we were having issues and had to postpone the wedding, evidently there was speculation that she had cheated on me. She switched gears and said we could still get back on track and get married next spring. No, because now, when one of us is out of town, my mind will be thinking about you cheating again, especially after coming out and wanting to have an affair to explore your sexuality. I said maybe after couples therapy we could get back to a good place again, but not by the end of the year, and it would be foolish to start planning and making financial commitments before we even knew if therapy was going to work. Plus, I wanted a prenup to protect everything I brought into the marriage as well as my future retirement savings. Plus, she would forfeit any equity if we bought a house. When she protested, I said if you plan to be faithful and not change your mind later, then it would never be a thing. Just something to give me some peace of mind. It's been an ongoing conversation for the last few days. Betty wants to sweep the incident at the wedding under the rug and move forward with our wedding. Exploring her sexuality is not worth sacrificing our relationship, in her opinion. For now, we are back together and planning on counseling soon. In a moment of clarity, I realize I rushed to embrace the idea of an open relationship to allow Betty the freedom to explore her new feelings. And I'm not as willing now to consider that option. I think separation is the better option, breaking up if you will, until we both decide what direction our future lies and if it is with each other. It's not what I want, but I also don't want to spend the next 3 to 5 years together only for her to change her mind or cheat on me one day. I'm glad that OP's partner realized that her proposal wasn't fair, but I can't help but feel that this isn't a case of her truly moving past her feelings and truly understanding her decision. To me, this sounds more like an unwilling compromise. Nevertheless, as of now, it seems that the ship is headed back in the right direction, which is great. Just need to pile on more therapy and be willing to share each other's feelings. User Apocalypse Confetti said, counseling makes sense, delaying the wedding makes sense, and a prenup if you do get married makes sense. However, asking her to forfeit equity in a house you buy as a couple is not in any way acceptable. If you feel like you need that kind of leverage to move forward, just end your relationship and move on. That's a horrible thing to do to another human. There are worse things than cheating that a person can do in a relationship, and that would be one in my book. User Highlight Limelight said, don't break up with the potential of getting back together on the table. That's a break. Breaks typically leave one person with some false hope that you all will eventually and possibly get back together, sometimes with the prerequisite if XYZ changes are made. The other person gets a head start on dating. It's not like inherently wrong to do it, but it can lead to a lot of heartbreak and drama, which your friends may very well get pulled into too. Instead, break up, get all the logistics of moving out together, go NC for at least 6 months. User Spectrum LSN Kink said, after reading both the original post and this update, I completely agree with your approach. Personally, I wouldn't move forward with the wedding. However, in the event that you do, then you have to protect yourself financially through a watertight prenup. It's time for you to also have consultations with a lawyer on your own in case that is the path you take. User Dynamic Hunter said, good on you for postponing the wedding. She is trying to act like her cheating didn't affect both of you and is trying to move on. You need to fully resolve this situation and your feelings and go to couples counseling before you think of getting married again. Also, smart of you to get a prenup. Remember to have her sign that months before the wedding and have separate lawyers for each of you to look at it, otherwise it can be thrown out. Do not move forward with the wedding for at least another year or two until you work this out and have moved on from the resentment. This next post was made in the same subreddit by a user named Desperate Reveal 421. The post is titled, Struggling. Husband dating 2 hot dancers and fell in love with one of them. I'm 35F, feeling incredibly insecure at the moment. I'm new to polyamory, only 4 months in after a 10-year relationship, 5 years married, and we have 1 son. I was the one to initiate this. I used to be in the kink scene and wanted to explore it again. My husband and I have had a largely sexless marriage even in the early days. I have a higher drive than him. There have been repeated instances where I would try to initiate and be rejected. My husband, 35M, has been away for 5 weeks for work with his sister. During this time, I've been looking after my son with help from my family. I have limited free time juggling work, childcare, and exercise. I'm trying to lose weight. During this time, I had a relationship breakdown at the start of these 5 weeks, where the partner didn't respect my boundaries, including using a condom, and have been on 1 date. Lovely guy, just no attraction. My husband, on the other hand, has been seeing 2 gorgeous American dancers. Let's call them Sally and Lucy. Previously, he's told me he only has a high sex drive during the day. Well, apparently not. He's seen both women on the same day, including overnight stays with Lucy. He's told me he has fallen in love with Lucy. They've hung out socially with his sister and friends and gone for meals multiple times, in addition to having sex. I had talked with my husband about how after he's had sex with a partner, I find reassurance helpful. That didn't happen immediately after he had a threesome with Lucy and Sally. He had checked with me before about the threesome and I had said go for it. This was really triggering for me. I think I could have communicated it in a better way. I said, I would have appreciated reassurance in addition to you telling me what happened. I chatted with a therapist who said it would have been better to approach it with, I'm glad you had a great time. Previously, we spoke about you giving me reassurance after a date. Is everything okay? So going for more of a discussion instead of a telling off. He did immediately apologize and said he'd messed up. Both Sally and Lucy are going back to America. My husband has said he's still thinking about whether he wants to keep in contact with Lucy after returning from holiday. He is saying a lot of, I love you, you're my true love, I can't wait to come home, etc. But I'm finding it hard to believe it. My gut instinct is to push him away as a defense mechanism. I think it comes from a place of fear of losing him and fear of being unattractive to him. TLDR, feeling insecure about husband falling in love and having lots of sex with beautiful dancers. Any advice is welcome. User SA Rart said, I'm sorry to hear that. Sending big hugs. I hear that you're experiencing a lot of anxiety and you're feeling a need to push your husband away because you're afraid you're going to lose him anyway, and so you're avoiding extending trust to make sure you don't feel vulnerable. Totally understandable. Unfortunately, it sounds like the result is that you're refusing the reassurance that you yourself have requested. Anxiety is sometimes helpful, but often it results in preemptively taking away the thing that we most want. What reasonable thing could your husband do right now to make you feel better? It could be that there's nothing he can do, and you just need to be angry for a little while. If so, let him know you're going to feel angry for a little while, apologize, and let him know when you're ready for reassurance. Ask him if he's planning to leave you. Believe his answer if you think he's been trustworthy in the past. Then sit with the feelings and talk them through with your networks. See if the feelings get bigger or smaller. Try to figure out specific triggers. These relationships and others will come and go. Far more important is the underlying self-knowledge to ascertain your needs and the ability to communicate your needs so that your partner can meet them. If you can do so with kindness and patience towards yourself and towards your partner, I think that good things will grow. User You Make It Weird said, I think the sexless marriage is kind of the problem. More precisely, have you guys ever spoken while this is the case? I mean, having a different time rhythm is fine, but apparently this results in no sex at all. You should first work out the reasons in an honest conversation. Then lay out some new soft and hard rules. I am just guessing given the information, but if both have a more fulfilling sex life at home, then poly becomes a lot easier. It will also help with the insecurities you will most definitely develop over time. User Al3CH316 said, you can't fix a dead marriage by opening it up, OP. If he has a huge drive for his other lovers and comparatively little for you, that's evidence of a much deeper problem. Instead of working on things, you both outsourced intimacy to others and are now in a really bad place. Other people will say, trust the process or love is infinite, but those are meaningless platitudes in your scenario. One of the most reliable ways an open marriage falls apart is a substantial mismatch of libidos between spouses. If he's having sex with you twice a year and with his partners every day, I don't see how you couldn't interpret that as serious trouble. I have no idea what you do from here. It's unlikely your husband will agree to close the marriage. If he does, great. Work on your issues and refuse to tolerate a marriage that leaves you sexually unfulfilled. If not, you both are in trouble.